So this is a taillight off a 2012 Prius C, and the one on the passenger side, the right side, was leaking pretty bad. In the summer, you get a bunch of dust on the inside, and then in the winter, you get a bunch of water in it. And when I took it off, there's a pool of water that came about up to here. To get it off, it's really easy. You just pop the trunk. There's going to be a 10mm bolt here, and then here, and then there's this thing here on the top that'll just pull out of the car pretty easily. And then there's going to be right here, there'll be this thing, I don't know which way it faces, but there'll be a wiring harness that comes out of there. And then there's going to be a bulb here that just twists, and then another one here, and then one here also that'll twist and just come out. And then what I did was just take all the bulbs of the wiring harness, put it inside the trunk, and then just close the lid down with the bulbs and the wires and stuff on the inside of it. And then I took all the stuff off the back of this, because the way that I clean it is I just spray a hose in all these holes and then just keep tipping it over and dumping it out. If your light's like mine and you can't tell where the water is, where the leak is, when you like spray the water in to clean it out, you just find where the water is falling out where it's not supposed to, and that'll show you where the leak is. Then also this same, the same method will work if you have like a crack in it or something. Just if you had like a crack, I would just, since you might not be able to just cram it in there like that, you might have to put it over top of it more. Just sand around like where the crack is and then put it over top of it. So this thing here will come off with, there's a Phillips head screw there. And then I think I had to turn it up, I don't know, I grabbed this with a pair of pliers and like wiggled it out. It has a sealer on it, so it was a little tough to get out. And then there's also 3 of these orange ones and then 3 of these black ones. I don't know what the point of these is, but there's just these little holes there that go on there. And you can take a pair of needles and just pop them out. There's this thing on the inside. Sometimes the cap will come off and the thing on the inside will stay on. Or like this one, it stayed on. One of them had a cover over it, so you might have to pull that off separately. And the reason mine was leaking is there's gaps around the edge here. And so crap is just getting in on the edges. There's no cracks in the plastic, as you can see. So what I did was just, like I said, just spray a bunch of water in there, tip it all over the place, keep dumping the water out until it looks clean on the inside. And then to dry it out, first thing I did was just take some compressed air and just spray it in there, the holes a bunch. If you don't have compressed air, it's fine, it'll just take longer to dry out. And then, if you can put it like in the sun, if it's really hot out for like a day or two, that'll work. What I did was put it in my water heater closet. It gets pretty hot in there. And then I just put it up on a shelf as high as I could near the ceiling because it's where it was warmest. Left it in there for maybe 2 nights and now it's completely dry. So what I'm going to do is just seal up all around the edges. And in order to seal it, I got this stuff. This is like stuff you'd use to seal, the edge of like a sink or a window or whatever. It's like meant for plumbing. Most of them will come in the bigger tubes that use like a caulk gun. But you can get these smaller ones too. If I get the one for my caulk gun, it'll just dry up before I use it all. So, and I got this because it's clear and I want it to just look clear, not look bad around the edges. But you could use something like RTV. It would work just as well. They do have like gray RTV. And what I'm doing is running like a thin bead of it all along there. Probably one thing that would have been better if I'd could take a little bit of sandpaper and kind of scuff up the edges to get it to stick a little better. But really, what I'm going to do is just go along with my finger and then push it down in so it goes like inside of the crack there where there's the gap. Like right there, you can see it sitting in the crack. And I don't know, this stuff looks white. Hopefully it'll dry clear. I mean, it does say that it's clear in the top there. Yes, I'm just going along and like pressing on it firmly at first with my finger to get it inside of the crack, and then you can kind of go over it lighter to build it up a little more along the edge too. And you're gonna get excess like along the outside here. You just take your finger and just just like you can just you just take your finger and then you can just rub off the excess, and the stuff definitely starts to dry and get kind of sticky right away, it feels like. So I would definitely say just start off with a little bit. Don't put like a huge thing along it like I did, and then when you smooth it down you're gonna get so much excess on your finger anyway. So I would just start with like a little glob like that and then just work it, clear off, you know, clean up the edge. You could use like a paper towel, or you might want to use gloves too even. Stuff's pretty sticky but kind of rubs off your fingers alright. Sort of like Elmer's glue, not quite as easy. And then obviously once you've gone all the way around it, you can just put it back together and then let it dry for whatever the directions say before you put it back on your car. And if you put it in like that, you know, like a hot area, it should help it dry faster. Or if you know it's not going to rain, I mean, you could just put it back on your car right away. And also another really quick fix you could do, maybe be better if you had like a broken one that's all cracked in front. You can just like, so this is the bottom of this one here, you could just drill some holes in the bottom of it to just let the water drain out really easily so it doesn't build up in it also. If you want like a really quick, cheap, and easy, lazy fix. But obviously it's much better to just be able to keep water and dirt out of it so, you know, your lights stay working correctly. Yeah, so when you take the taillights off, there's going to be two 10mm bolts. You just have to open up the trunk, and then there's one on this down on the top, and then one on the bottom there, and then there's two. There's a thing up here that goes into there, and then there's one down here near the bottom on the outside, goes into there. When I took this one off, this one got stuck in the bottom, because when I put the light back on I noticed it was kind of wobbly on the outside, wasn't sitting in fine. So I'm going to take this thing out, and you can see right there where it came out. Definitely way easier to just pull it out with a pair of pliers. It's actually a little tricky to get back on there because you have to push it back in really hard. So I just took a deep 8mm socket that fits right over and then hit it with a hammer. I was just trying to hit it, and normally it would kind of go in crooked, but now it's in all the way. So yeah, here's the light back in the car. It's been back on it for about, I don't know, a week or two. I think a couple people have rented it since. Pretty sure it's rained since then. And there's definitely no more dust coming up in it, and there's definitely no water in it either. So far it's worked fine. If it does end up leaking again in the future, I will give an update in the comments on the video.